Harjap, have you come across people who have sort of said to you, look, I've had my asylum refused, or even I'm trying to get asylum, and I've been going to my local church, and this vicar here is going to back my claims, and if I go home, I'm now a Christian and will be persecuted?
Well, over the years, this is not a new phenomenon. I mean, it's something I've seen for the past 20 odd years. However, these claims are very few and far between. First of all, I find that people from other religions, say Muslims, Sikhs and Hindus, are very loath to convert to Christianity. They see it as a betrayal of God. And, you know, it's one of the biggest crimes to do in their actual religion. However, in even the figures this year, if you just have a look at this year's figures from January onwards, there's been about 30 appeals in relation to asylum conversions where people have converted to Christianity, and out of them, half have been refused. So which shows that the Home Office is pretty much onto it. It's not something that's just developed last year, but the numbers are increasing in relation to people claiming asylum. However, the Home Office is not increasing in its grant of these sort of cases. It's refusing them. And then whether the person wants to appeal or not and appear before a judge, that's when usually the letters come in from the churches or the vicars to say this person's been attending my church regularly as a part of the congregation. And some of them, although you know, we don't know what the percentage of it may be in good faith, but there are definitely a few who do try to attempt to cheat the system. But eventually, you know, pretty much they get found out according to the figures.
Yeah, for example, the Clapham alkaline attacker, Abdul Ezedi, who had 3 applications for asylum turned down. Then he converted to Christianity and his application was accepted, and he went round telling his mates he was still a good Muslim. And numerically, strange situation on the Bibby Stockholm barge down in Dorset, Harjap. Out of 300, mostly young male migrants on board that boat, 40 are converting to Christianity. Either that is truly a miracle in our midst, or there's a lot of people on that barge gaming the system. It's a pretty high proportion, isn't it?
It's desperation. It's a mixture of desperation. But I tell you where actually this all stems from. This stems from, surprise, surprise, the government's inabilities. Because look, if you look at the Clapham attacker's case, I mean, 5 years being refused twice, and he's still allowed to be here. Where was the removal? Where was the removal team? And if you look at the removal figures over the years, the graph goes like this. It goes absolutely down, and it goes down from like 30-odd thousand. You know, voluntary returns and all of that, all the way down to 2,000 or 3,000. So the removal team is not doing its job. After asylum is over, they should be sending these people back, which they aren't. And therefore, these people are just stuck in limbo. And then they're getting suggestions, well, why don't you do this? Or why don't you do that? Or they see someone successful who's gamed the system. And then they try and do this as well as a matter of desperation to stay here. Otherwise, they'll be stuck in limbo. But once again, it all stems from the failing of the Home Office. If the Home Office does its job when people get refused or their appeals refused, and then actually removes people in a timely manner, this situation wouldn't arise. I mean, before this government came in charge, they were helpfully sending back 60, 70,000 people a year. And so those figures, you know, dropped, especially during COVID times. This government tries to massage the figures. When someone actually gives up and goes home on their own, it's a voluntary return. But this government tells the public here, actually, it's a removal. We did that. No, you didn't. The guy just gave up. He spent 10 years here and he thought he's had enough and he's gone back on his own. And all this government does was fingerprinted him on the way out and said, you know, hey, we've sent another person back. So the government pretends to be effective more than it actually is. It's not honest with the public. Surprise, surprise. The figures, to an extent, are manipulated. And if the government does its job in the first place, the Home Office did its job. We know it can't because it's broken, but they still tell us that they're trying to. And then we wouldn't be in this situation. Instead of punishing people who come here with visas or who come here fairly and destroying this country's economy by stopping families of care workers coming here, they should be concentrating on ejecting the people who shouldn't be here and letting the people who want to work and want to contribute to this country stay here. It's quite simple.
Well
It's not
said.
Yeah,
Well
no,
said.
you're absolutely right. You know, a second way that apparently people are using to try and game the system is to claim that they are LGBTQ+++, which for me, you know, it strikes me, first of all, as a kind of, you know, we're on a thin ice if we come to saying, well, if your country persecutes homosexuality in some way, you're welcome to stay, because you're talking about 3/4 of the globe, frankly, who don't have the same gay rights as we do. I wanted to ask you, as an immigration lawyer, if someone comes to you and says, look, these are my grounds upon which I want to make a claim to remain, how on earth would you say that they need to go about proving that?
Well, that's the point. The government then should have the structures in place, the Home Office, in order to prove it. Now, if someone's got a partner here, a same-sex partner here, or, you know, they fit the category, then that partner will support them. And a lot of people do. They come here and they develop relationships, and it's a genuine relationship. And the government says, right, prove to us you've been living here for 2 years. And they do. And, you know, they prove they've been cohabiting, they prove they're in a genuine relationship. And they do get some sort of visa. But however, if someone says, right, I've come from back home, and this is a reason why I've been persecuted, it becomes very hard to prove that. And often these claims are refused, in the same way that the conversion of Christianity claims are refused. And therefore, you have to go for a lengthy appeal system, and a judge is sat there to make a decision, and he will take evidence orally, and he will say, right, make a decision as to whether, you know, that's what their asylum seeker is claiming is true or not. It's a very lengthy and tricky process. That's why a lot of people don't do it. People do try and game the system, but once again, this is nothing new. People have been trying to game the system for the past 20 years. And the thresholds are actually hard. If you remember a while ago, there used to be this thing about sham marriages. People used to go to the registry office and have a sham marriage. Now, the rules were changed on that. So if you're an illegal entrant here, or if you've got no visa or passport, you can't actually get married here. You have to apply to the Home Office in order to get permission to get married. And they have to give us 70 days notice instead of the 28 days. And a lot of the arrests and swoops made by the Home Office are actually made by people on the wedding day. You might remember the border force programs that used to come on TV when people would get dressed up and participate in a sham marriage, and the border force be waiting in the next room and pick them up on the wedding day, harrowing as an experience as that is. But that still goes on. So the government does have ways to prevent these sort of fake claims. But once again, they're not coming through. It's too little, too late. We learn of scams all the time. The government doesn't react till about 5 years later, whether it's a highly skilled migrant program, whether it's a fake uni colleges scam, whether it's the current care worker dependent, where people are turning up to work in these care agencies, which are non-existent. Over 250 in the past few months have been discovered by the government, where these care agencies have been set up.
Shambles, Harjap. It's a shambles.
Yeah, it's absolutely, I don't know who's in charge. In fact, whoever's in charge doesn't deserve to be.
I think that guy just got sacked, didn't he?
Yeah. The whistleblower. This is the government's result to sack the whistleblowers. Sack the whistleblowers.
That's right. He tells the truth. Sack him.
Bye, off you go.
Harjap Banghal's immigration lawyer. Great to talk to you as always.
Great.
Thank you so much for your time.
Great guy.